Hello, this is Latoya Harris with Latoya Motivates. Make sure to check me on Instagram at Latoya Motivates, as well as Life and Love Images.wordpress.com for all for we're laughing at our dog to sniff to see what was going on. Okay. So that's what you get when you're live. Hello. Thanks so much for joining. It's Latoya Harris with Life and Love Images.wordpress.com and Latoya Motivates Instagram. We also have a YouTube. And with me, we have our co-host, Zach Harris, Life and Water Aquatics. So, welcome to the Latoya Motivates Show.
Hey guys.
Thanks for joining, Brian. Today, we are talking about a pretty interesting topic. And today we're talking about our couples therapy and our experience. And we're at the end, we're going to make sure that we let you know whether or not we think couples therapy is actually beneficial or not. Also, stay tuned because we want to give you some information to a new course that me and Zach have created. It's called Banking on Marriage. It's going to be a guide that allows for you to see basically how to make healthy withdrawals and deposits within your relationship. So make sure that we should put a link down there or something like that because seats are limited. So we're going to make sure that y'all get involved in that. It should be super fun. There's going to be workbooks involved and all that good jazz. Hey Tremaine, thanks so much for joining. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're talking about couples therapy, and by the end of this, you're going to be able to judge for yourself whether or not you think it's beneficial or not. So here we go. Are you logged in for your views as well?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. This is sort of the same thing. You're going to have to tag, I guess. Can you tag me?
I can tag you, but they're not going to know that we're on live if you don't get on live now.
So I'm going to have to hold two phones? Like I'm going to be like this?
No, you just have your phone on the side and be logged in, right? Oh
Okay.
my gosh. Couples therapy, that's
All
what
right.
we're talking about.
Stand by. Stand by.
So thanks so much for joining. Again, let me go ahead and give some shout outs to those who have shared, liked, or loved. Keep the likes and loves coming, guys. Today we're in our bedroom for couples therapy, just discussing our experience. And just to see if maybe that's something that you may find beneficial to give more quality to your relationship. So again, warning, there's going to be some thanks for the LOL, Tremaine, because we're trying. So awesome. So what we're going to do is go ahead and get started with our shout out. So first thing that I want to do is give a shout out to anyone who is liked or loved or just shared in love, and keep the likes and loves coming, by the way. So first I want to just give a shout out to Matthew Thomas. Hey April, thanks so much for joining. Today we're talking about couples therapy and the benefits, and by the end you'll decide whether or not it's beneficial for you. So Matthew Thomas, Laretha Chris, Holly Dove, just a few shout outs for those who liked and loved. Kashonda Williams, happy birthday. Yesterday was your birthday, but thanks so much for liking and loving. Yolanda Sonia, thank you so much. Tanya Holman, thanks so much for liking and loving. Brittany Lanye, Chris Rito, oh man, it warmed my heart when you said that we gave some very cool vibes, because that's what we aim to do. Motivate, give you information and knowledge so that you can have quality life and live your best life. Sharika Young, Tremaine Valencia, shout out to Cheryl Pigney, Muhammad Don Alaya, Patricia Guy. Again, Yolanda Sonia, you are the best dance champ in the world. She's the swing out queen. So just shout out to her. Hey Nicole, thanks for joining. So today we're talking about couples therapy. So we're going to talk about, first of all, I want to say this. No couple is perfect. We all are going to go through struggles. We're all going to go through disagreements. We're going to all go through, keep it going. I'll join on the next one. Oh, of course, April. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us. And also check out our recorded version. Like and love. Don't forget to share. So anyway, we're going to talk about our initial problems. Everybody has problems, and we're putting them out there so that you can get better for them. And honestly, we've gotten over those, and it just allows for you to realize that sometimes you need skills or extra set of unbiased opinion to be able to help you come up with some good tools to get over whatever that hump is. Sometimes you need somebody outside of the relationship. So here were our initial problems. We had some communication issues that we needed to discuss. Anxiety. We had just moved into a house, and it just was overwhelming because to go from an apartment to a house, there's more responsibilities. There's cutting the grass. There's inside work that must be done. And honestly, it just made us both anxious, and it made us both kind of like that transition in getting in the house just made us have initial problems. And I know you would think like, oh my gosh, you know, it's a blessing. You get a house, but honestly, it just caused anxiety. So I guess what, more money, more problems, more house, more problems. Stress at work. Both of us had individual stress issues at work. Zach, you had a few new things that happened at work during that time, like you had a new boss and a new situation.
Yeah.
Another thing, some of our initial problems were that we had resentment. I know I had a lot of resentment, and I think that resentment built up over time. The resentment of just like thinking like he's not there for me, and when and the thing about it is that when you have resentment, you shut down, and at least that's what I do. My resentment was just from feeling like, okay, I feel like the house that I wanted to select, we didn't really select it. I felt that I was trying to let him take the lead, so he chose the house that he wanted, but it kind of made me have a little resentment because I felt like I wasn't being listened to. Thanks so much for joining, Yolanda. Today we're talking about our experience at couples therapy, and we're talking about our initial problems that brought us there. So we had a big argument, a huge argument, and I don't think I should have to explain the details of it, but initially I think the reason why we had that big argument is because we were ignoring each other. We weren't taking the time that we needed to discuss. Instead, I shut down, he shut down. We kind of start allowing a wedge to form in between us, and it got really, really big. And I think, thanks so much for watching, D'Angelo. Today we're talking about couples therapy and the initial problems that led us to therapy, and we're going to discuss, you know, the pros and cons. So when we had that big argument, and I realized at that point that I pretty much had exhausted all of the things that I knew in order to make it better. And I think that was why we had that initial, that big explosion. And then at that point, I think that's when I tried to figure out, okay, so how can we make sure that we can get over this? Because it's like, the thing about it is that when you get married or when you're in a relationship, you think love is going to keep you together, but honestly, I believe it's a commitment to make things work, and a commitment to get over anything that possibly could become an obstacle or a stumbling block. So let's get into it. Let's discuss exactly our experience that we had at couples therapy. So when I mentioned therapy to you, what was your initial response, you think?
Me, I was apprehensive. Didn't know. I didn't think. Typically, you know, I don't really get a third party involved in our relationship type stuff. And I thought that we could always fix things, just you and me together. But at the point that we were at, it was kind of like bigger than you and me. And I was willing to give it a try, but I was very apprehensive. I didn't really want anyone else to get involved. And excuse me, guys, I've been sick for the past 3 days, so if I sound crazy, I'm sorry. I can't breathe out my nose, so sorry. But that's why we're in the bed, because I refuse to get out of bed. I've been in bed for like 5 days straight. The toilet's like,
not 5 days,
yeah,
maybe
pretty,
like too.
It's been a lot of
I
days
thought he
in
had
bed.
pneumonia.
I ain't trying to. I'm not
I
trying
thought
to.
he had that bird flu.
I wasn't trying to get up out this bed, so I said, "Yo, we're doing this live. We're doing it in the bed." So yeah. But anywho, back to what we're saying.
You were apprehensive.
Very apprehensive. Didn't want.
Thanks for the love.
Didn't want.
Thanks for joining, Kalandra. Today we're talking about couples therapy, the benefits, the pros and cons, and we're sharing our experience. Because sometimes you need an unbiased opinion in order to allow for you to get over whatever hump that you're facing.
And I always, I mean, even though we got where we were, it was never a point where I was like, I give up or I don't care. So, I mean, although I was apprehensive, I was willing to get anything, going at that point. So, yeah, that's how I felt.
So, yeah, the initial question was, sure, what did you think? What did you think when I mentioned therapy as an option? So, of course, most Black people are going to be apprehensive about therapy. And that's nothing against our people, but honestly, I think that there's a negative stigma around therapy. And honestly, it helps a lot. It helps a lot. It allows for you... Okay, baby, you can come sit in here if you want. And we actually went to a family therapist, and we actually brought our little daughter. Because we believe, like, if you're going to argue in front of your child, you might as well take them to the family therapist so that you can, as a family, resolve it. And they can see healthy ways that they can resolve it along with you. Okay, so the next question. Oh, thanks for the love. Thanks for the like. Yeah. So what did you think about the therapist that we had?
I thought it was great. And before we do that, you show me how I could share this as a post so I could have my people. Would it be just...
I guess you would write a post right there, maybe. And then, and then post it on your wall, maybe.
All right. Okay, so yeah.
Live!
Hey, look, guys. Yeah, look. It's been a long week since last
Couples
week.
therapy!
It's been a long week. I'm out of it. I took 2 Benadryl before live. I'm just ready to not be live.
And you know how men are when they're sick? It's
God, listen.
Oh my gosh, it's like they're dying.
No, that's not true.
Women cannot take a sick day.
Side note.
Thanks for the love. She agrees. Okay, enough said.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so what did you think about our therapist?
I thought he was great. I thought that, it helps that he was...
They are babies. Yeah. Thank you.
Listen. I'm finna talk about Christ. I'm finna break it down for you guys. I'm gonna talk bad about it.
I'm not talking bad. Listen, it's just a fact.
Our therapist and the counseling that we had.
Thanks for watching, Angel.
He's from our church, and it helped a lot that a lot of the things that he, all the stuff that he gave us was backed up by scripture, and it was comforting to know that, heck, even people like us that go to church that try to do right, man, we all have setbacks, we all have pitfalls, we all go through hard times. You know what I mean? It's not nothing to be embarrassed about. Which was my initial thing. Like it was embarrassing for me to say that we need to go to counseling. You know what I mean? But once you get over that, I mean that, and I think everyone should get over that because that's not even embarrassing, dude. This is life. This is your livelihood.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And the whole point of us doing this couples therapy, I guess, tell you everything that's going on is because you must realize that people who may appear perfect on Facebook or people that may appear like they have everything going on, they have struggles. They're imperfect. And sometimes you do need an unbiased opinion to step in and be able to give you different tools to be able to get back on track. Because let's be real, he's an individual coming from a different experience with his family. I'm an individual coming from a different experience with my family. I've had different experiences in my college career. He's had different experiences in his college, and then we came together. And then it's like, okay, so how do we get over this? Okay, and that's where the couple therapist came in to be able to see both of our sides, hear both of our issues, and then give us ways to resolve it. So since it was a Christian therapist, do you think that it was any different from maybe a normal therapist, or would you go to any therapist, or?
I don't know. I don't think. That's hard to say because the only therapist I've ever been to was a Christian therapist. But I don't know. I don't think.
But way he broke it down spiritually,
was something
and apply it to your life.
I think that may have been the only reason why I was like, yeah, I can get down with that. You know what I mean? Because let me tell you guys something. I've been to a therapist before as a young kid, because I don't know, someone thought I needed a therapist as a young kid, and that person tried to crush my dreams, tried to crush my life, basically. Like, I had to go to a therapist because of that therapist. Like, seriously, like, guys, I'm not even lying to you guys. My grandma had to take me to someone else just to recover from what that therapist told me. And that's a whole other lie. We'll go to that a whole other time. I kid you not, guys. I was in 8th grade, just moved to Corpus. Some guy told me that I was going to live in my grandma's basement the rest of my life. Never going to be able to drive a car, never hold down a job. But again, that's a whole other lie. But yeah, so I guess if I want to compare the two experiences, of course, yeah, I would say that a Christian therapist
gives you more hope.
More hope, yeah. I mean,
not only that,
based off of all the things that I've ever dealt with in life.
Yeah, and gives you a better foundation, because I mean, a foundation saying that you're not going to be able to drive a car and speaking things into your future that aren't necessarily edifying. Yeah. God has plans to prosper you. I mean, that's in Jeremiah. He has plans to make sure that you're straight, and that the things that he set before you, of course, he's going to make sure that he gives you the power and the strength to accomplish those things. So I would agree that a Christian therapist would be what I suggest, especially if you want a good, strong foundation that's not built on sand, where any kind of winds that blow will basically have you all over the place. You want a strong foundation in God, because God is constant, and that's exactly what our therapist did. He made sure that, he brought it back and focused it back on God, and that, we are not necessarily... Of course, I want to make Zach happy, but most importantly, I want to make God happy. And when there's times when we're having a little confusion, I know that I can turn to God, which is the foundation, which is unchanging, to be able to know that number one is respect for men. Men need respect. And I mean, I learned that from the Bible. As far as I'm going to have to maybe post down here that comment, but I definitely think that having a Christian therapist was the best option. All right, so we're wrapping up our couple therapy experience. What did you get out of it? Did you get anything out of it, or what were the takeaways, I should say?
It was so long ago that I think about that. But what I got out of it, I guess, is that we're different people, and I think that we can get wrapped up in our own emotions and kind of forget about each other's emotions, and that's that could be a bad thing, especially a man with a woman. You know what I mean? The women, tend to be emotional. And no matter what, you gotta tend to your woman, just like your wife has to tend to a man. But
I think that goes back into our course that we're about to do at the end of February, banking on marriage. So just like you were saying, you got to cater to each person's emotions. You also have to know when to make deposits, know when to make withdrawals. And I think that that's what the course that we made at the end of February, you're the first to hear about. It's called Banking on Marriage. And it basically talks about some skills and tools to use before you get married and while you're married, so that you can make sure that you're making the right amount of withdrawals and deposits, because you never want to be a person who is dependent on the other person for your happiness. You can't do that. That's number one. And I definitely learned within counseling that I sought Zach a lot for affirmation. I sought him to be able to say, "You're doing a good job. You're doing this at work. You're doing this. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're doing a great job at this." And whenever he wasn't, I guess, giving me that constant affirmation, that constant feedback, it was almost like I was dependent on him for it, when I just needed to basically realize, pat myself on the back, you doing it. Or find some, or journaling helped a lot too. That was another suggestion. As well as, of course, some tools that he gave us was in communication. Whenever women want to talk, of course, sometimes we rely on the silent treatment. But our therapist was like, let me give you an example. He was like, to say, "Zach, is it okay if I talk to you about what happened at work today?" And of course, if Zach is in the middle of something, or if he has some other things planned, he'll be like, "Sure, but can we talk about it in an hour?" And that way we are sure that we made an agreement to come together and discuss something that I have on my heart. And he's made the agreement to be completely, totally devoted to listening to what I have to say at that time, designated time. What was another tool he gave us? Another tool that he gave us, of course, all of them for us were based around communication. Because it's something your grandmother told me. Your grandmother told me one time, and I'll always remember this. In a marriage, you have to be like a rug. You know how, like, when you look at a rug, you can't see the holes in it. You can't see anything in between it. It's because that's how close together those threads are. And I believe that whenever we weren't talking to each other, and whenever I had resentment, and whenever we just allowed for a wedge to keep getting further and further away, that's exactly literally what happened.
Oh,
I got further and further away. I was trying to give a
demonstration. Gotcha. That's dope.
So, yeah. So that was my demonstration of getting further and further away. And you just need to remember, be like a rug. Remember that you have to be as close as possible. Don't let anything come in between you. And that's where communication comes in. And that was one of the tools that he gave us to just make sure that we're always communicating. He gave us strategies, systems, communication activities. Oh yeah, one of the big communication tools he gave us was to repeat back after each other. Thanks so much for joining, Shantia. Thanks so much for joining, Diggum. That's her baby.
My leg is getting more worse.
Oh no, come here. You could come with us. You want to be on the live?
I want a pickle.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one, baby. Okay, sweetheart. Come on. You can come if you want to. We're wrapping up. So, yeah. So one of the big strategies that he gave us was, sure. Hi, everyone. This is our little one, Zoe. Say hello, Zoe.
Hi.
So what we were talking about was communication, and how communication is very important.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how you have to listen, and how you have to be able to repeat back what the other person said. So let's practice. Zach, whenever you said that you were sick,
and we had to get him some medicine.
Yes, we definitely.
Hold on, Zoe. Hold on.
We definitely had to give him some medicine. He's been.
Yeah.
Yes, but when
He was coughing.
He was coughing. But what we want to talk about is how communication is important. So whenever I tell you something, I want you to tell me what I tell you, okay? So Zoe, I think it's important that during, when you're in a relationship, that you have to communicate. So whenever I tell you something, you have to be able to listen and be able to tell me that you understand. Sure. So what did Mama just tell you? Were you listening? Did you understand what I just said?
Yeah.
What's important?
We had to get some. You had to listen.
You have to listen, exactly. See, I told you the exercise worked on a 3-year-old. Yay! So basically, that exercise is just to make sure that someone's listening. Whenever you tell them something, and you're like, okay, afterwards you're gonna have to make sure you repeat it back to me so I can make sure you understand. That person is radared in on what you have to say, because they know that it's going to be like a pop quiz at the end where it's going to be like, do you understand? Can you repeat back to me what I said? And sometimes when me and Zach, since that was the reason why we went to couples therapy to better our communication, whenever we were there, I would repeat back to him what he said, and he'd be like, that's not what I said. And I'd be like, well, you said this. And he'd be like, nope. So then he'll have to repeat it until I really understood. I didn't let emotions get in the way. I didn't let my past experiences, I didn't let any feelings of anger get in the way. Until that was an obstacle and I truly understood what he was saying and where he was coming from, did we get to move on to something else. What did you think about that exercise?
That was so great. And the exercise was, and the exercise made you tired.
It made you tired. Do you remember when we went get popcorn? Remember when we went to church and he gave you popcorn and we went to couples therapy? You remember? Family therapy? You remember when he gave you popcorn?
Who gave me popcorn?
Remember when we went to church and it was me, you, and Daddy? And then you got some popcorn from the nice man at church. Remember?
What kind of man?
It was our therapist. It was maybe like, what, a year ago?
Maybe, yeah.
So, yeah, he even gave her popcorn. So, let's go ahead and wrap it on up. Because what would, my last question to you, Zach, is, would you go again?
I would go again if need be. I would go again.
In my room.
Okay, sweetheart.
Thanks for showing up. Thanks for stopping
so much
by.
for
We
stopping
appreciate
by.
it.
We appreciate it.
We'll
Yay.
get you a pickle here in the next couple of minutes, okay? A pickle. You want a pickle? All right. Stand by.
Okay, we love you.
Love you. Go ahead, go to your room.
Thanks so much for joining, David. Today we're talking about couples therapy and our experience and how it really benefited us. And my last question was, would you do it again?
I would, if need be. It was a sense of getting back to ground zero, you know, for the relationship. We kind of got lost in the sauce, lost in life, lost in not really each other, you know. We kind of, like you did your demonstration of how we kind of separated, you disappeared off the screen. That's kind of how it happened. You don't got to do it again, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's kind of what happened in our relationship. So, you know, I think that I learned a lot from that experience, and I think that there's a lot of takeaways that I keep for life.
Oh, me too.
In that experience. So, but yeah, if need be, I would definitely go back. I would definitely go back.
Okay, guys. So just as a wrap up, as far as couples therapy or family therapy, I definitely would give it a thumbs up if we were Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up. Okay, or sideways, whatever you feel. But yeah, definitely thumbs up. So what I want to do is just make sure that you understand the benefits of couples and family therapy. Sometimes you need different systems and communications put in place. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. That's one of the things we learned. Everybody has problems. Everybody's relationship is different. The way our relationship functions is different than someone else's relationships. But what's most important is that we've established what I expect, what he expects, and he knows my love language. I know his love language. And that was something else we discussed, you know, in couples therapy. Just understanding how the other person ticks and what they associate as love. Some people feel like getting gifts are love. Some people feel like a pat on the back as you pass by is love. Some people feel like daily affirmations are love. But what most important is that you just got to realize you're 2 different individuals coming from 2 different places. And sometimes you need an unbiased opinion to help you get over a big hump or a big new move. In our case, it was a new move and it was just new things happening and we had to readjust. And I think we needed some help readjusting in those big transitions.
I agree.
So definitely couples therapy and family therapy is definitely, in our experience, a great thing to do. And of course, you know, whenever you're having anxiety, it's a great way to reduce that stress. So again, guys, check out our course. You're going to hear it here first. Banking on marriage. It's basically about making positive withdrawals and positive deposits and not taking too much from a relationship and not putting too much in. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check out the link that we're going to post to this live soon, as well as we're going to be posting other links. What do you have to say about our Banking on Marriage course that's coming up at the end of February? Anything?
Fun stuff.
Fun, yes. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a workbook. There's going to be lots of activities. So make sure you join up because seats are limited. Again, make sure that you add us on Instagram, Latoya Motivates, and Life and Water Aquatics, as well as check out our blog, lifeandloveimages.wordpress.com. I hope you feel better.
She's hating. Sorry, guys.
Have a great day. Thanks so much for joining.